Welcome to the best and hardest Alphabet Platinum Challenge you will find on YouTube. Found a message in a bottle. For those of you that don't know, we are picking a game that starts with each letter of the alphabet, starting from Z, going up in platinuming, getting the 100% on each one. So far, we have done Zombie Army 4, East XCOM 2, Wolfenstein 2, Visage, Undertale, The Evil Within, Sifu, Resident Evil 2, Quake 2, and Psychonauts. Have some pretty rough games to do still, including Hollow Knight, Fortnite, Black Ops 3, Back 4 Blood, among many others. Before my O game, I went with none other than Outlast 2, a game I've had in my backlog for legit years, thinking it was always going to be too hard for me to do. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss on the upcoming videos, and let's get into our O game. Let's break this game down into steps for how I tackled the platinum. Step 1. Go through the game on normal difficulty, just enjoying the experience and doing some miscellaneous trophies and collectible cleanup. Step 2. A very quick speedrun. Step 3. Play on nightmare difficulty and practice some strategies for the final step, which is Step 4, and what makes this game an 8 out of 10 and notorious in the trophy hunting community. Play the game on the permadeath mode without reloading the camera a single time. Let's jump into what I'm sure is going to be a nice, relaxing experience. Spoiler warning for this incredible story. Our story begins with our two main characters in a helicopter trying to find a girl that was recently found after strangling herself. We are playing as Blake, who is mostly a cameraman who works with his wife Lynn, who is a reporter. While trying to find a factory that would have explained the high levels of mercury found in the Jane Doe, when a bright light flashes and soon after the helicopter crashes. We then get our first flashback of the game. Throughout multiple points in the game, we are brought back to our Catholic school we attended as a child. We had a traumatic time here as one of our best friends, Jessica, reportedly played hangman and a little too literally. But during these flashbacks, things are dark and very creepy. But we'll get into more of that a little later. We awake having been thrown from the helicopter. No one is around. Like a true normal person would, we go and grab our video camera and begin our journey looking for our wife. We are in a creepy town. There's very few people around, and the ones that we do see look psychotic. We come across a pile of babies, clear religious garment around. Something is definitely not right here. After continuing on, we hear some commotion and look out a window to see Lynn jumping out. We decide to follow her and begins a long, long, unskippable walking cutscene. I get a trophy for finding Lynn here, but outside of that, we don't really get any questions answered. We find out a religious cult has taken her and that she is now pregnant, and they believe it to be the Antichrist. But before we can even begin to wrap our head around the fact that our wife, who was not pregnant a few hours ago, is now pregnant, we are found by the cult followers. Before we can be attacked, another religious faction, the heretics, also find us. The heretics are on the opposite end of the spectrum, where they want our wife to give birth to this Antichrist. They take out the cult followers, and the leader, this crazy lady Val, sexually assaults us before taking Lynn and running off. We are now stranded. Again, with so many more questions than we had before. And this is after being sexually violated. Things are not looking very good. Confused, I continue on where I come across a new mechanic in the game, swimming in water. This is a great time to hide from enemies, but more importantly, gave me a chance for a trophy. I decided just to keep going underwater, and after 10 minutes of doing this, I got a trophy for spending 10 minutes underwater. I continue to go back and forth between reality and this warped reality of being back at school and piecing together what happened with Jessica. While I was continuing on my journey, I got some miscellaneous trophies that I forced to pop. One trophy was for using the microphone for 20 minutes, one trophy was for crawling for 500 meters, and one was for purposely getting injured and using a bandage 10 times. I eventually made my way to a church where there is a poor guy whose eyes have been clawed out with the word Judas carved into his chest. He begs us to put him out of his misery, but instead, we hear people coming and hide in a confessional booth. A new important character emerges whose name is Noth. He is the leader of the religious cult. In with him is the wife of the eyeless man. He begins torturing her, demanding to know where the heretics took Lynn. Eventually, the man gives in and says they took her to the mines. Well, I guess we know exactly where we are going. Delightful. On continuing, I get a trophy for seeing the distant mines where Lynn is captive. While trying to get to the mines, I come across one of my most hated characters, Marta. Marta is basically the enforcer of the cult. She just goes around and gently stabs people the church doesn't want around. She pops up multiple times, but we'll get more into her being a nightmare when the insane playthrough starts. I eventually escape her, and after another school section that is getting increasingly more frightening, I come face to face with some pieces of wood that will help me cross a large gap to get to the mines. While walking across thinking I was making my way to our final objective, a swarm of dragonflies decided they want to play tag with me and knocked me off the wooden beam. I fall 100 feet and land in a tree. Completely fine somehow. We are now introduced to the next big bad, Nick and Laird, or better known as Ballbag and Wienercoat. After traveling through the woods a little bit, we are eventually caught by them. These two toothless hookers from Port Authority are the leaders of a third clan called the Scald. This is a subset of the religious cult, and due to a bunch of whack jobs, a lot of the people in the cult contracted STDs, mostly syphilis, and Noth refused to let anyone except himself receive treatment for this, and he instead cast these little monsters out to the woods. But Nick and Laird remained loyal to him. They are convinced we are the next Jesus, and to stay true to that, crucified us. Literally crucified us. Nails through hands on a cross, crucified, the whole shebang. And then they took our camera as their new gospel. Little assholes. So we rip our hands off the nails and are determined to find the video camera. Like, dude, just call it quits on the goddamn video camera and just get out of here. But upon falling to the ground, I got a trophy for escaping the crucifixion. We'll go more into the detail about the upcoming parts during the Insane run. Just know this part sucks. And Dickhole and Larry get a bow and arrow that one-shots you, and you are running through dark woods with no clear path. It's a nightmare. But eventually we get our camera back and are teleported to the school again. This is where the school begins to suck, because now we start getting chased by this hideous looking demon. And spoiler alert, it is the priest that we often hear and see in the school. After we survive the school, we are back to playing Pickle Surprise with Shitbox. We find a rope and begin rappelling away from the area. The Scald followers are mad, begin a revolution, and they throw the ugly little shit stain off the cliff, officially ending him and getting us a trophy for escaping the Scald. There are two different collectibles in the game. Recordings, which you use your camera for, and documents, which you pick up. Not too long after surviving the Scald, I got a trophy for completing 30 recordings. I continue on making it through another school section. A cool part where it's pitch black and we have to follow Jessica's voice to get out, and came to the most boring section in any game ever. the raft section. This is a 30-minute joyride where you just row down a river in a poorly controlled raft. It sucks. So let's just skip it. I eventually get back to the school, and towards the end of it, the sprinklers start going off, and instead of water pouring down, it's blood. Pretty nasty, but a great place for a trophy. So I start sliding around like I'm playing on a slip and slide and get a trophy for performing a 12-meter blood slide. I get through this and pop back up into the real world and gets me a trophy for reaching the mine facility. This section is mostly just a couple chase sequences put together and eventually leads to a truly terrifying part, which is the maze section in the school. It is a pitch black maze, and we have to run around and navigate it while being chased by the priest demon. Oh my, does it get your heart rate up. But eventually made my way through that, finish another chase sequence, and eventually ride the little shaft right into the mines, getting me a trophy for descending into the mines. The mines consist mostly of us running away from the heretics and us seeing them performing a ritual with Lynn. We also run into our previous sexual partner, Val. Val looks like a lunatic now and puts us through a very scary section where we are in pitch black water and she is wandering around with a lantern. God, she is the literal worst. We also get more backstory about Jessica and nipple twister priest Father Loudermilch. Hopefully I pronounced that right. So it turns out this man was pulling the classic priest pickup move of playing Diddle City with people who cannot legally drink or vote. Plot twist, though, he was doing this to Jessica and not us. Finds us in the school and threatens us with getting in trouble and tells us to go home. Jessica is begging us to stay to protect her, but Blake is a certified bum. Instead of helping, he runs away. He looks back and sees Jessica running away screaming. Upon reaching her, we find out that our loser priest actually was the one who broke her neck, and it was not her playing with a rope. Very crazy plot twist. Get warped back to reality. We awaken to see the cultists molly-whopping the heretics, and we have our last chase sequence. Upon escaping and exiting the mines, we find our very pregnant wife, Lynn. We get a trophy for reuniting with Lynn, and now we have to lug her around with her giant head taking up half the screen. There's a huge storm going on with lightning strikes happening all over. We make it to a house, and instead of helping Lynn down safely, we Spartan kick her down and dump her on a bed. It's time to give birth. Just kidding. Marta is back one more time and gives us one last chase before cornering us. As she is about to smite us down, a cross from the top of the church falls and impales her, saving our life. We make our way up to the church, and now it's actually time for Lynn to give birth. She pushes out a baby boy. We are standing over her with the baby when she gasps, "There's nothing there," before dying to blood loss. And we can see a shadow of us with nothing in our hands. Noth comes in whining about how we failed and warns us to play hot potato with the baby before shaving his neck with a very sharp knife. Very strange. But we take our baby that might not actually be there. We try and walk out of the town. Bodies everywhere, buildings destroyed. We make our way to the edge, and it appears as if the sun explodes, and we get a trophy for witnessing the end. And we have one last school section where Jessica tells us she is never leaving and begins praying. The screen cuts to black and the game ends, giving me a trophy for finishing the game. I also got another trophy for finishing the game without hiding in a closet, so we'll take that. So there's a lot to take in with this story. Huh. So let me very briefly break down what is going on. So the same corporation from Outlast 1, the one trying to mind control people and doing all those experiments, well, they basically set up a cell tower in this town that emits a bright light that we saw throughout the game. This light essentially caused people to become psychotic, and they all became religiously preoccupied. In comes Blake and Lynn. They both experienced this bright light back in the beginning. Getting hit with it once isn't too bad, but there is one thing that could happen, and that one thing is phantom pregnancies in women. This happened a lot to people prior to the first game, where they experienced all the symptoms of pregnancy while not being pregnant, including swollen stomach, and it ended up being pretty fatal in just about everyone. So that's basically what happened to Lynn and why she looked pregnant. But Lynn seemed pretty normal at the end and even saw that there was no baby. So how come she was the only kind of normal one? Well, she was brought down into the mines pretty early on, where the light frequencies couldn't impact her. Us, however, we got finger blasted by that light over and over and over, to the point where we kept hallucinating and also bought into the delusion of the townspeople, thinking that there was a baby. And the sun exploding at the end? Yeah, that was a cell tower actually being exploded, and that bright light was just the explosion. So, a lot going on. But now it's time for some quick cleanup before the speed run. I went through chapter select, getting the rest of the collectibles, and eventually got trophies for collecting 40 documents, completing all recordings, and collecting all documents. I then went on to the speed run. This time was very generous, and I flew through this with very little issue and got the trophy for finishing the game in under 4 hours. I then went on to practice my insane runs, and after finishing that, got trophies for completing the game on nightmare mode and a trophy for completing the game on hard mode. Now came the time that everyone came to this video for, completing the game on insane mode without reloading the battery. The mode that separates the little boys like Blake from the men like Lynn. Let's get ready to rumble. Let's dive into insane mode. So I ended up using a guide by Optinoob. And honestly, this man makes the greatest guides for every game. He is amazing, and definitely go check him out if you need help with stuff like this. The beginning of this game is pretty easy, even on Insane. Takes about an hour to an hour and a half before we start getting into any of the hard sections. And before I even mention any of that, in case anyone's struggling with not being able to see because you can't really use the camera, I, one, increased the brightness on my game. Two, I increased the brightness to max on my TV. And then three, I actually went into the PlayStation itself and messed around with the resolution and contrast stuff to make it so bright. So I was able to see throughout the majority of the game even without the camera, which was super helpful. But back to the game. There are some scripted chase sequences which aren't too bad. In every single Marta fight except the very end, I was able to despawn her completely, negating all the chases. During my first run, I was doing pretty great. I got to around the midpoint of the game where you get crucified and have to get your camera back. Well, I got my camera back and I went back to the school thinking I was safe. And this happened. Oh! Dude, what? Are you kidding me? Dude, I just died? He's never spawned there during the phone. What did I just miss? I thought the phone. Since when does he? What? You got to be kidding me. Uh, what is that? Are you? Yep, I died in the school like an absolute certified bum. Well, I knew I couldn't get it on my first try anyway, so loaded up another attempt, made it all the way back to this part, and I made it past it pretty easily. Obviously, because it's a school. I'm golden now. I know my exact path for this next section. Oh, I'm dead. See you guys. GG's. Yep. Oh. I ran into barbed wire and then instantly got shot with an arrow. Halfway through the game again. That That was my new personal best so far, so cool, I guess. So I jumped back into it again. At this point, everything in the first half was pretty easy and mindless. At least I thought it was until Marta decided she wanted to see me in a place that she has never once seen me before and grabbed me out of the grass and scared the absolute shit out of me and looked something like this. Okay. Dude, what? I know. I said I found out a way to despawn her in all the chase sequences before the last one. This was before I found that out. So, found out after this the method to go and despawn her completely. But this whole thing is already getting old. To keep getting to around the midway point, there's all these unskippable cutscenes. It's like an hour and a half to get to these points. But the next day I decided to go on another run. I was doing amazing. I got back to the Nick and Laird part, got past all the arrows, got my rope, went down. Nick and Laird got tossed off. Everything was going great. Did a great job leading up to the mines, which is pretty much just all sequence chases. I got through the maze in the school like an absolute boss, and the mines were even a joke. Even that part with Val in the water, I got through all of that with no issue. And I had one single chase left between me and finishing this game. Me and Marta. A 1v1. The easiest chase in the game. And I made it to the house, put my big boy pants on, got my sprinting shoes ready when this happened. What? Oh my god. Oh my god. Are you kidding me? How? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. What the fuck? How? Yep, you saw that right. She fucking killed me. And the worst part, I'm pretty sure she killed me because of a bug. You see, she is really, really slow in this section. She doesn't run, she walks like Michael Myers in this house. So the only way that she could get to the corner that fast was by teleporting. And she did. And she stabbed me with her little cross mallet thing. The last enemy in the game. I was defeated. I went from so happy and excited to heartbroken in the matter of seconds. Days later, I decided to try again, but my run was sloppy. I was around the halfway point when this happened. Oh, okay. Well, guys, that was fun. What the fuck was that? Bruh. Oh. Yep, a little shrimp dick guy grabbed my leg and held me there for another guy to come and smack me. I may never get back to the end, but I just decided to jump into another run. And I made no mistakes in the first half. I diddled Nick and Laird again. Got through all my chases leading to the mines. I survived all my chases in the mines. I finally got back to my one-on-one with Marta. Was it time for another heartbreak? Or was it time for my redemption arc? Let's jump in and see how it ended. Jesus. That should be good. Right there, that's where she killed me, right at that fucking little intersection. You think something's wrong? We're getting chased by a lunatic. Okay. Go 1, 2, 3. Yeah, right? Then she comes out right there. Guys. Marta. Oh, I can't wait for her to die. Oh, let's go. Oh, I can fucking kill her. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, eat that fucking cross. Oh my god. Oh, I see that cross up there, boys. Oh, let's go. Come on, give me another lightning strike. Oh, fuck you, Marta. You can absolutely get bent. Oh my god. I wasn't doing it. I wasn't letting her kill me again. Alright, let's sprint through the rest of this now to before my PlayStation crashes? Yup, you saw it right. I made it through. I survived Marta, saw my wife die giving birth to a fake baby again, and saw the sun explode. Jessica sang me to sleep, and this nightmare finally came to a close. The trophy popped for completing the game on Insane. Trophy popped for completing Insane mode with never reloading your battery. And after that, the Platinum Trophy popped for Outlast 2, a game I've had for years that I never once thought I could get done. I did it. I finally got the Platinum Trophy and finished off my O game. On to the rankings. For difficulty, I'm going to give this game a 6 out of 10. This game is not very mechanically difficult, and there's really only a handful of parts that even require any thought in what you should do. The majority of the game is just wait here until the enemy does X, then run. For grind, I'm giving this game a 5 out of 10. The playthroughs are short and aren't awful to get through, but at the end of the day, the game has a permadeath mode, and redoing the same beginning part where you can't skip a single cutscene becomes old very, very fast. This gives a true score of 5.5 out of 10. For the BS meter, for those of you who don't know, it's either a 0 or a 1, and it gets added to the true score. If there's a mechanic that is outside of normal gameplay required to complete it, give it a 1. This game automatically gets a 1. Any game that has a permadeath mode, instant 1. On top of that, the fact that I died to the last enemy because of what I'm pretty sure is a bug just kind of solidifies it. Reason 3 is this game is dark. Not just in terms of the death and sexual inappropriateness, like literally dark, and not being able to use your camera sucks. Like I said, I had the max brightness on my TV in the game, and I had to go into my PlayStation and adjust everything to make it a little bit brighter. And reason number 4, there's a lot of parkour in this game, and it is incredibly easy to fall off and have your game instantly end. And I don't think a game like this that has somewhat janky controls, which in normal gameplay I think is fine, but when you have a permadeath mode, there should never be any janky parkour sections. So we are giving that a 1, and that gives us a final true score of 6.5 out of 10. For recommendation, I'm going to give this game a 4 out of 10. If you want a notoriously hard platinum to add to your collection, but want one of the easier ones, go with this game. It's not very long and not as hard as everyone says. However, permadeath modes blow a lot, especially when you can't skip cutscenes, and the first 1 to 1.5 hours of the game is so easy, and it just becomes a slog having to go through it over and over again. So you just end up redoing the same easy hour plus over and over. So it's not that fun, but it's not very difficult. So if you want a hard platinum, go for this. Thank you everyone who tuned in to see me lose my mind. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe so you can follow along with the rest of the challenge and continue to see me quickly lose my sanity. We stream every game for this challenge over at Twitch, and we'll leave a link in the description below. Lastly, we have a Discord, which will also have a link in the description. Have roles for completing certain games, as well as a channel to request help with trophies, where I will either help in to help you, drop items so you don't even need me, or at the very least, give you tips and tricks on how I went about getting the trophy. I will see you guys in the next video, where I play Nier Automata. Now, if I could just shut off the power grid to this, maybe.